Hey Dungebags, what's going on? It's Landon Remixes here, and it's time for a review of this new EP from Eden, About Time. Eden is an Irish singer, songwriter, producer, you know who he is by now. About Time is the first of possibly a few two-track EPs Eden is releasing as B-sides to his debut album Vertigo. Vertigo released this last January and is undeniably my favorite album of 2018 so far. I love how raw, unfiltered, and personal that album is. It's very purely Jonathan. Although I don't want to spend this entire video talking about how much I love that album, because I do have a full-length review kind of explaining my thoughts on it, and if you haven't checked it out, I would strongly suggest you do. I'll have that linked in the end card. Speaking of that review though, I did think it was important to talk about this EP, even though it's only 2 tracks, because my review of Vertigo is by far my most viewed review ever. Though I don't think this EP is absolutely monumental, and I don't think it's building up to anything much bigger than what it is. I know a lot of you have been wanting me to talk about this EP, so I probably should. As I said, this EP is nothing extravagant or monumental. It's a simple 2-track EP of B-sides. Both of the tracks that this EP is comprised of were played out on the first leg of the Vertigo World Tour. I was fortunate enough to be able to catch Eden's stop in Seattle, and at the time I did quite enjoy the new songs he was playing out, particularly the one fans are calling Fake Love. Halfway kind of expected that one to be the next single after Vertigo, though I wasn't expecting it to come anytime soon. Was definitely caught off guard when Jonathan decided to release a 2-track EP so soon after the release of Vertigo. You know, considering how long we had to wait between I Think You Think Too Much of Me and Start End. But no complaints, I'm always down for some new Eden no matter what it is, any time of year. I guess the question is always going to be, how much did I actually enjoy it in comparison to Eden's other works? And well, plain and simply, I do like this EP for what it is. I don't absolutely love it. And I mean, there's not really any reason as to why I should love this EP. It's definitely not a fully fleshed out project, at least not to the extent of Vertigo, End Credits, or I Think You Think Too Much of Me. It's just 2 tracks that seem to have been made in the same time frame and mindset as Vertigo, but that didn't necessarily fit the same vibe and vision that Jonathan had for that album. The title track is definitely the one out of the 2 that I would have more expected to see next to the tracks on Vertigo, but I wouldn't really say that it's super similar to any particular track on Vertigo. It does fit a very similar vibe though. It's very ambient and has a lot of soft guitar plucks. This is one of those songs that I feel like could have fit very snug in one of the album's low points, maybe between Crash and Gold, which would have kind of made sense considering this was the song that was played immediately after Crash on the live tour. Though I will reaffirm that I do get why this song was left off the track list, because it is pretty different than anything on Vertigo, especially in the way of Jonathan's vocals. They're not very melodic at all. In fact, they're pretty monotone, as if Jonathan was reading a poem or something. The song is actually very poetic, and I quite enjoy that Jonathan's vocal styling is so different on this song than really anything he's done before. The lyrics are a bit abstract on this song. They aren't super straightforward. It's a bit closer to like a Start End than like an XO, though the lyrics about driving recklessly and needing to slow down, most likely both figuratively and literally, actually remind me of another song that Eden sang on that I'm not going to note by name. Much like the actual EP itself, the song is very short and kind of unresolving. By the end of the song, Jonathan is pretty much where he starts out. He hasn't really found a solution, he's just more or less content with his own recklessness. While I do enjoy the song as a whole for what it is, I do kind of crave more. I want more meat in this. It doesn't really have a lot of ups and downs or progression. It's kind of stagnant, and that's hard for me because it feels more like an interlude than it does a fully fleshed out track, and this is the title track on this EP. Regardless of this though, I would say that About Time is my favorite of the 2 tracks on this EP. Objectively speaking, I don't think Stutter is necessarily a bad song. It's just the complete opposite of what About Time is trying to go for. While About Time is very lyric based and feels very organic, Stutter is a complete instrumental and feels more unnatural. Jonathan is undeniably channeling his Flume influence more than anything on this song. In fact, I could have seen Stutter sitting a bit more snug next to the tracks on Skin than on Vertigo. Coming right out of About Time, that bass line at the beginning of Stutter feels very harsh and grating. It's a very quick gear shift that's hard to get used to. Needless to say, I don't really like the intro of the song, and I think the percussion was kind of a poor choice too. In my opinion, the best part of the song is the break, but you have to sit through a lot of intro to get to that. The break is super solid though. It's a bit hectic, but I think it fills out its frequency spectrum really nicely. It's got that kind of twinkly melodic art being heavily contrasted by these belting brass instruments. I will also say that it's very different and very experimental for Eden. I never really expected him to go in this direction, but maybe he's just leaning a little bit too heavily on those Flume influences in this song. It also just might be a little bit too different for my taste. I mean, I can't really listen to this song comfortably in tandem with the content on Vertigo or even About Time. This whole EP, more than anything, just seems to be a really jagged contrast of Eden's abilities as an artist. And as I said, while I do appreciate this EP for what it is, I just don't love it. For About Time, I'm personally feeling a light 7 out of 10. If you guys haven't listened to this little EP yet, I'm going to have, as always, the Spotify link down in the description below. And if you have listened to it, let me know what you think down in the comments section. It looks like Eden's going to have another one of these 2-track EPs out this Friday. I'm really excited about it, and you can definitely expect to hear my thoughts about it at some point. As always though, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'm Landon Remixes, and I'll see you next time. Peace.